Welcome to Comic and Screen. My name is Sam Otten, and with me is Jason Book. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the Season 2 premiere of Supergirl, which is now over on the CW network, joining the CW DC universe over there. So this one is called The Adventures of Supergirl. It was written by Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg, who are kind of like the fathers of the show overall, and they're kind of, two of the leading minds for the CW DC universe. And they gave us an episode to kick off the season that includes Superman. So we're going to talk about several things from this episode, but first let me get, Jason, your overall reactions to the premiere.
Well, I thought it was pretty good. Back when we first saw the stills of the guy playing Superman in the costume, I wasn't really sold on it. I thought his Clark Kent was actually really good. His Superman wasn't bad. More on that later. But I did like the way he interacted with Kara. I like the things that they're doing to bring in things like other villains in the DC universe, which I'm sure we'll talk about more later. But I didn't like at the beginning where there's like so much going on where it makes it a little less special, that you've got like Supergirl and then Martian Manhunter and then Superman and things like that. So parts of it I really liked, parts of it I think they have to work on, and it is just the first episode, so I think that it's got potential for the season though.
Yeah, for me, I see a lot of potential as well, and it's kind of how I've been with this show a lot. I basically enjoy watching it, and it's, for some reason, this show, I'm willing to just sort of go along with it and kind of have fun, and sometimes it's a little cheesy, but I sort of just smile and go with the cheese, and I don't really, hold it against the show.
Yeah.
So the show has overall won me over, where I just try to ride with it, see the potential, see the upside, and I don't hold it to like as high of standards as I do for like a movie. Like with a movie, that's the movie, so I want it to be really well constructed and really deep and lots to analyze and all this stuff. And the action, I want to be perfect for rewatchability. But for this show, I don't hold it to those standards at all. I'm more like, oh, let's hang out with these characters, let's have some smiles, some fun, a little bit of action mixed in there. So, and they are setting things up that I want to see more of. So we'll talk about a few of those in terms of the villains that maybe we can see coming in the future. And then, we have a little bit more of Superman coming the next episode, a little bit less Cat Grant, so we might talk about that too. But let's just start with Superman. So you said you liked his Clark Kent. I also liked his Clark Kent. I thought he did well. I thought he did much better on the show than he did in the photos, like you said. Yeah, I think it definitely came across better here. So what are some of your other thoughts about Tyler Hoechlin and the new Superman version that they brought into the show?
Well, I thought when he was in action, he was quite good as Superman. When he was talking, there wasn't like as much of a distinction between his Superman and his Clark Kent, but his physicality while he was Clark Kent was really well done. The choice they went with the costume to make those kind of Injustice lapels coming over the cape or whatever kind of hindered it a little bit. I think that's one of the reasons he looks a little bit smaller to me as Superman, where we've just been so spoiled with like Cavill and like even guys like Christopher Reeve and stuff where they just look big and you expect Superman to look a certain way. But I'm willing to forgive all of that as long as you can really, have the performance be that people are, realizing it's Superman. And they did convey some of that with the way the soldiers were talking to him and things like that. And I did like the parts between him and Martian Manhunter where they have some history. So as I said before, it's got potential. For a TV Superman, he gets a decent grade for me, but he's just not quite there.
Yeah, I agree. There's some good stuff. I liked his Clark Kent. I especially liked his Clark Kent when he was doing more of the smile and the joking and kind of just like charming, with different people.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the episode, there was a scene where he was supposed to get like a little bit more angry or, show a little bit more of a negative, seriousness. And I didn't think that the actor was as good in that scene as he was in like the playful scenes.
Right.
And I also agree with you. The cape coming over the shoulders just doesn't quite work for me. But I'm willing to forgive it and just keep going with it. But I would have, preferred a little different design on that part of the suit.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah.
I do like, though, the redesign for the Supergirl S-Shield for the show, like when it goes to commercial and the shield comes on the screen. I like this new one better. I never quite loved the CBS one, so that was an improvement. But with Superman, a lot of explicit nods to Donner and to Christopher Reeve. So they talked about Lex and the earthquake in California.
Yeah.
And they talked about the safest way to fly. They had kind of a reference like that in the helicopter. A few other visual nods and stuff too. So they definitely seem to be trying to appease people that have been kind of looking forward to or nostalgic for a Christopher Reeve version of Superman.
Yeah, I thought those nods were pretty cool as well, because maybe they're referencing something they may get to eventually, where how can these characters exist on TV and in movies and have, some sort of multiverse or something like that implied. So that's kind of cool. I like that aspect of it, and we'll see what they do with it.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I have no problem with two versions of Superman. Like, I think it's actually kind of smart from Warner Brothers and DC to give the Christopher Reeve fans something that's much closer to that on TV. And then, other fans who are really enjoying the DC extended universe in the movies, they have the Henry Cavill version there. And for me, I like both versions. If I had to pick one, I would really prefer the Zack Snyder, Henry Cavill version.
Right.
But I don't want every version to be just the Henry Cavill Zack Snyder version. I'm very open to having multiple.
Well, yeah, that's it with Superman. The character's been around so long. It's open to interpretation. And as I said earlier, too, it's only one episode in, so this guy could get better with the portrayal as he goes on as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, you already mentioned it. I liked the Martian Manhunter history that they alluded to. I liked seeing them together. And I also just always really like, Hank Henshaw, John Jones in this show. I love all the scenes. I like when I see him coming. Yeah. So he's a character that I really enjoy. Now, I want to get your thoughts on two things. So, first of all, let's talk about Kara and Jimmy. So, in Season 1, there was the tension, and at the end of Season 1, it led to them, finally giving a shot to this romantic opportunity. And it only lasted, less than an episode, which surprised me. I thought they were going to, I thought it would maybe... I didn't think it was going to be a perfect relationship from here, forever. That wouldn't make very good TV. But I thought that they would be dating for a few episodes at least.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's funny because it's like the first episode on the CW, and that's what people always say about the CW. It's got to have that soap opera aspect to it, and they didn't really do much with it. I don't know if it's something they're going to go back to, but it really wasn't well defined why she wasn't into it anymore. I did like the stuff they were exploring with her sister, saying she knows... when she's trying too hard at something, she doesn't really want it, and the way that was portrayed. But it just didn't really sell it to us, why she would switch gears. And, if you're going to do that in the story, maybe, have this happen later and have it be something more of a plot development than something that's kind of fizzled out in the first episode.
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing that they were doing with Kara was her, being at the edge of a decision point in her life and being a little bit scared of going into that part of her life. And they played that out well with Kat and Kara. But yeah, I agree with you. I didn't really buy it, or they didn't really sell it to me for the Jimmy and Kara angle to it. But I thought that Kara and Kat, like usual, had really good scenes together. And I thought it was nice how Kat was giving this advice to Kara about you need to go for it. And then Kat realizes at the end, oh wait, I have something in my own life that I need to go for. And I think that's going to be the explanation for why Callista Flockhart is not on the show every single episode.
Right.
So I thought that was pretty smart setting that up. And they also quickly kind of explained the new set design for the DEO. They just say, oh, you have multiple sites? Yeah, we do. Oh, this one's nice.
Yeah, that was kind of silly, but whatever. And I mean,
they had to do something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just practically speaking, they had to explain it, and they also couldn't have both sets. They had to just go right to the new set. So that was basically the only thing they could do, I think.
Yeah.
Now we had Metallo. So what did you make of, he was kind of in the background, but then we see kind of the origin of Metallo at the end of the episode.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. They did a good job with it because nothing went against what's been, to me, the most memorable Metallo has been in the cartoons, really. And it kind of has aspects that it can go that way still. It took stuff from some of the comics as well, and just kind of did something different with using the drones and things like that. And I liked where things ended at the end of the episode. But to me, it all comes down to the character design. They have to make the Metallo look good with the TV budget and make sure that it's believable for the TV show, and they could do something pretty special with them, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree, and I think it's a good choice for, we had Superman here, we have Supergirl. I think Metallo is always a good villain to bring into a super family show, so I look forward to seeing what he looks like next episode, and then is he going to go up against Supergirl and Superman, and how's that going to play out with, Kryptonite involved in some way, I'm sure. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you on that.
What?
Now, I do have a little bit of a spoiler, so if people don't want to hear anything about some upcoming episodes, we did get an image, so skip ahead, but we did get an image of the Guardian coming to the show. So did you happen to see this, Jason?
I did, and like my first glance at it was like, huh? Like it just looked kind of weird. None of the same colors in the original costume. It looked like it was all gray and white, correct, or something like that.
Yep. Yeah.
And so now not only has Jimmy Olsen changed races on the TV show, but he can also just turn into a different character completely too. That I don't think he ever played in the comics, right?
No, right? Not that I know of.
Yeah. So once again, if it works in the story, I'm cool with it. But I think some of these superhero shows are going to the point where everybody's got to be a superhero, like or a vigilante or something, and it kind of takes away.
Arrow.
Yeah,
I feel
exactly.
Like,
it takes away some of the power that these characters have of being good supporting characters, that they can do hero type things or have flaws like real people because they are real people. They don't have to be superheroes. So we'll see what they do with it. But to me, when I saw that, I thought it was pretty weak.
Yeah, so for me, I'm similar to you where I like to give things a chance before I, hate them or go after them. So I'm going to give this a chance and see how they write into it. They write Jimmy Olsen going to do that, and then they might play up the dynamics between Supergirl and Jimmy Olsen as the Guardian.
Right.
Because maybe Supergirl also doesn't want him to go be doing that vigilante stuff. So that could be good, but I agree with you about the dangers. Like, to me, yeah, this is this danger of like, oh, is it just a matter of time before Wynn is, and then Cat Grant is going to be a superhero? And then, like,
yeah, exactly. Or Wynn or whatever, right? Like,
yeah, for me, I like, if I were running the show, I would probably just say like, no, the people have their different roles, and let's find some tension and find stories to tell with them in their roles. We don't need to tell a story by having them shift roles all around.
Totally. Like, just for an example of something they did very well in the episode that we didn't mention yet, with someone who just has a role but in a different way, the Lex Luthor's sister, I believe it is, right?
Oh yeah.
What a great job. That actress was killer. They had it that she was really like, she's going to be good but she could still be bad, and I liked it because it's like that classic Superman Lex Luthor part, or Clark Kent Lex Luthor part, but having to be a woman made it quite different. And also having her be kind of good made it different as well. They could totally do something like that with Jimmy Olsen. Instead of him being rescued by Supergirl, have it that he rescues her or something. Or, something more akin to where the characters have been, but doing something different with them. Yeah,
I agree with you on all that. So, cool. I mean, some definitely good stuff, some possible concerns, but that's almost a reason to keep watching, is to see how this stuff plays out. And, in terms of ratings, so in CBS, they were usually pulling in like 7 to 8 million, but towards the end, it was actually drifting down towards like 6.1 million.
Okay.
This premiere came in at 3.1 million, so that's a drop of 3 million, sort of to be expected because of the shift to the CW. The CW just does not get the same eyeballs that CBS does.
Right.
So that seems like a pretty big drop, but it's actually the biggest Monday night that the CW has had in 8 years.
Well,
so I'm sure that the CW is very happy if it can keep 3 million or more in there. That'll be CW will be happy with that for a Monday evening. So hopefully they can do that. And also, more and more people are watching shows streaming or watching them on the CW app. So just because of that, the ratings are going to be a little bit lower just as more people move to online digital streaming.
Yeah, and I think with Superman being there too, that definitely brings some more eyeballs to the show. So that's definitely something they were thinking of, and I think it should do pretty well this year.
I hope so. So, all right, thanks for talking with me about it, and we will look to see the next episode with Superman, and looks like they might be facing off against Metallo.
All right, looking forward to it.